um, but all right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Golfers Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Noah, and our guest this week is Ben. I'll let Ben introduce himself in a minute. But if this is your first time joining us on the Golfers Anonymous podcast, one, welcome. You came to the right place. And two, essentially what this podcast is I bring on a new guest every single week. And that new guest is basically just a normal, regular golfer who just fell in love with the game at some point and is now addicted to this sport, as so many of us are. With my hypothesis being that, everybody has very unique reasons for how they got into the game and why they still play. And I think it's interesting for us to talk through it. But without further ado, our guest, Ben, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and just so you know how I generally have people introduce themselves on the show, I want you to give us your name. You can go first name or full name. It's up to you. It's either Ben gets famous or Ben Firn or Ben F gets famous. And then so your name, how long you've been playing golf, and then your current handicap.
Awesome. Noah, thanks for having me on the show. Ben Firn can be famous. That is my name. I am a 8.4 handicap, and I've been playing golf since, say, early on in high school, maybe 2006, 2007. And I'm a true golf sicko. I often tell people that the ratio of my obsession to my handicap is a lot higher than it should be. Or maybe it would work the other way around, but you get my point.
Can you hear me, Ben?
Yeah, now I can. Was I lagging?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you for a sec.
Oh, no.
But here, let me try opening my door, see if the Wi-Fi... It might be my Wi-Fi.
Here, I'll shut my door.
And like if
Can you hear
I...
me? Can hear you.
I can hear you fine. And basically
Okay.
the way how this thing works is like it saves the audio files locally on both our computers. So like even if we look blurry to each other, it's still getting it. But there was just like a period where I like couldn't hear you at all. So I wanted to make sure I got it. But it's better now. You mind just redoing that intro? Just because I didn't really hear it. I'm sure we recorded it, but
yeah. So I'm Ben Firn. My handicap is an 8.4. I am a true golf sicko. I'd say 25% of my waking thoughts are about the game. Don't know what I would do without it. I started playing early on in high school, maybe 2006 or 2007.
Love it. So that's a good measure of golf obsession. How much what percentage of your waking thoughts are about the sport? I like that. I'm gonna start asking people that when they come on the show. For me, I'd say it's definitely at least 25%, and automatically 50% of that is work. So we'll say half of the rest of my thoughts are just about golf. That'll do it.
Yeah, candidly, the 25% is a conservative estimate. It's probably higher. I just don't know if my wife's gonna tune into this podcast.
Yeah. All right, man. Welcome to the show, Ben. Is this your first ever time on a podcast?
It is not my first time. I've been on a couple of startup podcasts, but those are boring. I've never been on a golf podcast before, so fired up about this one.
All right, excited to have you on. So you mentioned you started playing golf in high school. Can you tell me a little bit about, why you picked it up in the first place and kind of, how it went when you first started playing?
Yeah, there wasn't really a kind of magical inflection point, I would say. It was more gradual. A couple of my close buddies growing up caddied and belonged to a course. I'm from the Boston area. They caddied at a course called Dedham Country Club. And so I was lucky enough to go a couple of times. And I just remember I was first drawn to it because, one, I was horrible. I just naturally wasn't good at golf, was a baseball player, had a big slice like many of us. But I saw this huge green field of improvement. And so that's why I was drawn to the game. I had some pretty nasty ankle injuries from soccer and basketball growing up. And then had operations on both of my ankles. And so I kind of continued to gravitate towards golf because it's just really friendly on the joints.
Yeah.
Then sophomore year of college, I was like, fuck it. I didn't play golf in high school, but I'm going to try to walk on the college team. So tried out for the varsity team. The program wasn't really serious. I mean, trying out was kind of a bit of a generous term. but had a really good 9 holes and walked on the team and basically got to practice and play golf pretty much every day for a couple of years for free, which was awesome.
There you go, living the dream.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. That's a pretty unique story. I feel like most people who play college golf at least like played when they were a kid, played in high school, that type of
Yeah.
thing. So what was that like? Just like going into this competitive environment when you hadn't really done anything like that before, at least
Yeah.
when it came to golf.
I like to think that sort of tense environment kind of brings out the best in me. But I tell you, a 4-foot putt that's outside the hole and you've got like 15 people watching is a different thing. Feels like a 12-footer. No, I had two goals whenever I played in a tournament, and I only played in tournaments if a teammate had the flu or I was very, very low down the roster. But the goals were always break 100 and don't come in last place. And the scores weren't pretty,
Did you always meet
but I
those
achieved
two
the
goals?
goal. So we take our wins when we can get them.
Can you hear me, Ben?
Yeah, now I can.
Oh, okay, you're back. So did you always hit those two goals when you were out there?
Yeah, the scores weren't pretty, but I did break 100, and I did not come in last place in the 3 tournaments that I played in. So
I imagine, just being in that environment around people that are so competitive about golf and obviously like playing so much, you must have gotten like much better by the time, senior year rolled around.
Not really, to be honest. I don't know, at the time, I was probably like somewhere between a 14 and a 16 handicap. I mean, I was pretty bad. And I just didn't play enough. I didn't practice enough. It wasn't really until I moved back to Boston in 2018 that I truly got bitten by the bug and just started playing 40 rounds a year. And every year from 2018, I just knocked 2 off of my handicap. Last year I got down to a 6.7, but it's gone up since then. So it's really been only in the last 5-6 years where I've truly been purposeful about practicing and playing and like striving to get better.
Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest? I know you said you've knocked about 2 strokes off that handicap every year. What do you think in terms of like your practice has really helped you with that? Have you had any like lessons, or is there like a specific area of your game you worked on the most?
Yeah, I'm pretty self-taught. I have had a couple of lessons, didn't really find them all too helpful. Just reps out in the course. The short game is just easier to get consistent, and turning those triples into doubles and bogeys, I think, is like the biggest thing. I lost fewer balls. I cut down on the 3 putts. All the boring improvements that turn your scores from a 93 to an 84.
Right. I'm sure you probably got some new sticks in there at some point. That probably helped you out a little bit.
Got fitted for clubs for the first time, started going on golf trips, started getting deep into the recesses of YouTube, swing technique videos.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know we both
can be
share.
a torture-filled place, YouTube golf.
Yeah,
It
this
can be
is
a
true.
scary place as well.
That is very, very true. And I started listening to golf podcasts, and I started following the PGA Tour more closely and just being more embedded in. I mean, it sounds wacky, but being like more in the golf community really, really just like the 10% of my thoughts that were about golf turned into 20, turned into 30, and I just got better.
Yeah, I love that, man. So you said you've gotten much more into like, the golf. You've become more of a golf fan, essentially, is like what you're telling me, more into golf overall. I guess two questions. You said you're into a bunch of golf like podcasts. What's your favorite golf podcast out there? It'll soon be Golfers Anonymous, but you can tell me another one for now. And then who's your favorite golfer? We can go PGA Tour or Live, whoever your favorite golfer in the world is.
Yeah, and those two answers are connected. Favorite podcast is No Laying Up. I think that it strikes a really good duality of both following the professional circuit, bringing on fascinating characters, and then also I like the nerdy golf architecture, covering golf trips, kind of the course stuff. And to that end, probably my favorite golfer, I mean, assuming I can't say Tiger or Rory, would be Max Homa. I think he's relatable. I think he seems like a great guy to get a beer with. He's been through some struggles. He's introspective. He's a great interview. Just someone that I naturally find myself rooting for.
Yeah, Max is the man. He does have quite a story. I need to go back. So I was listening. I also love No Laying Up. I was listening to their, I think I texted you about this, listening to their like 10-year anniversary episode where they
Yep.
kind of documented like their entire journey to that point. And they mentioned like an interview they did with Max where like they had the first time it got deleted, they had to re-record it. It was like such an emotional interview talking him. He
Yep.
was talking about how he came up through the Corn Ferry Tour and all that stuff. I got to go back and find that episode because I was a big No Laying Up fan when I don't even know when it was. It must have been like when they were still pretty small, like 2016,
Mm.
2017. And then when I kind of stopped playing golf just because of college and track, I kind of stopped paying attention to No Laying Up, their content. And now I'm really back into it. So I need to like go back and listen to some of the stuff I missed. But a group or a channel I've been listening to a lot lately is the Fried Egg
Oh yeah.
podcast and YouTube
Yep.
content. I'm loving it. I never really like listened to them before just because I was like so into like the No Laying Up stuff, but
Is
they do
it
some
Andy and
really cool
Brendan?
stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's Andy, Brendan, and then they have a bunch of like rotating guests as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And the so Shotgun Start, I think, is they
Yep.
also do that one, kind of covers the tour. And then the Fried Egg is more of the course previews and architecture and what have you.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then
That's a good one.
like Eric Anders Lang, Random Golf Club. He's also
Yep.
really good. I was just watching a video he did. He does all those like Breaking 90
Break
series. He
90
did one at
series. Yep.
Yeah, he did one at Bethpage, and I had played there in the fall, like
That's
I
right.
mentioned to you, and I was like, wow, I need to like go back to this place. It is like it's so cool. Um, but anyways, so we know your favorite golfer, favorite golf podcast. Tell me a little bit about your best golf round to date.
Okay. So my career low is a 75. It was at a course called Pease Golf Course in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, par 71. Um, and the thing that stuck out about that, first of all, I probably had one too many adult beverages on the course, despite it being my low round. And
That's
also,
rare.
super memorable shot. My ball was submerged playing in a 2-on-2 match. My ball was fully submerged, greenside in a pond. Uh, and I was like, I'm going for it. And I just opened the face, swung really hard. It kind of popped out perfectly to about 15 feet. And then I hit the putt. And I just remember playing really, that was on the front nine, but on the back nine, just playing really boring, hit a lot of greens, two putt pars. The game just felt really, really easy.
Yeah. So your most memorable shot is tell me about that again. So submerged ball like in some mud.
Fully submerged in a pond. That was like, it wasn't like a foot below the water. Like, it was like a millimeter or two below the
Yeah.
surface, but the ball was fully submerged. And it was one of those, okay, I'm just going to get caked in mud here. I'm going to swing it pretty much as hard as I can with a 60-degree shot, 60-degree club behind the ball, and just hopefully it pops out. And because
How far were you from the green?
I was maybe 8 yards from the green. But the line that the ball went in on, I would have had to drop, and I probably would have had a 50-yard pitch shot.
Okay.
And so I figured, hey, as long as I can get this out of the lake, even if it doesn't go on the green, like it's going to be better than the alternative.
Right. Yeah. Dude, everyone on here so far has said like some booming drive they hit on like a short par four or like some iron shot they hit. But that's an awesome, most memorable shot. And I'm glad it was during your best round ever. That makes
Yeah.
it even better.
Yep. Yeah. Ironically,
Um,
some of my favorite golf memories are um, more experience based and less about playing a specific course or playing
mhm.
a really good round or a good shot.
Yeah. Love that, man. Well, you brought it up talking about some iconic courses. I know you've done a bunch of golf travel in your golf
Mm-hmm.
career thus far. Is I guess just one, tell me a little bit about some places you've been, and then we'll dive into a couple one of those.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been lucky enough to play some cool courses: Bandon Dunes, Spyglass, Cowrie Cliffs in New Zealand, which is a special place and a special course. Did a Pinehurst trip. Um, but I would say the crown jewel is this Bandon Dunes trip I did. So for my bachelor party a couple of years ago, I was like, you know what? This is a time in my life where I can be selfish about what kind of a trip I wanna take. Obsessed with golf. Why don't I take the overlap? It's a Venn diagram. Take the overlap of my best friends and my best golfing buddies. So 8 guys went out to Bandon Dunes. Seven friends and myself. Wasn't a lot of drinking. It was just like an intense 4-on-4 Ryder Cup style match. We
Yeah.
played 150 holes of golf in 3 days.
Wow.
Yep. The weather was perfect. These courses were immaculate. It feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, very difficult to get to. And these are world-class courses. I think all 5 at the time, I don't know if this is still the case, but all 5 courses, the Bandon Dunes OG, Old Mac, Bandon Trails, Pack Dunes, and Sheep Ranch, all 5 were in the top 10 public courses in the country. It was a very, very spiritual experience. I'm not a very religious or spiritual guy, but something about being there, just being
Golf
out
will
in
get you there.
nature. Yeah. Yep.
So you're not the first person I've had on who's gone to Bandon Dunes. Can you rank them for me in terms of, the 5 courses they have there?
Yeah. And it's hard to divorce how you played and like the weather from those rankings, but I would say Bandon Dunes original, then Pack Dunes, then Bandon Trails, which is the only course that is not on the ocean. It's in the
Right.
woods. Old Mac, another Tom Doak course, and then Sheep Ranch. I think Sheep Ranch has the best views by far, but a lot of the holes kind of blend in, and it's the newest course. So I have a feeling
Right.
maybe in 10, 15 years, it'll kind of grow into its own.
Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard that said like Sheep Ranch, like really cool views, but just like no bunkering. It's very straightforward. But my other friends said like it'll probably be awesome in 10 years.
Yep. But Pack Dunes and Old Mac, which are both designed by Tom Doak, who did a course called Stonewall here in the Philadelphia area, which is where I currently live. I recently played it. I'm obsessed with it. Tom Doak has like quickly become one of my favorite designers.
Wow, look at that. I'm glad you were able to find a gem in the Philly area.
Yeah, we're working on it. Well, it's a private course, so it's not like I can play it every day.
So I know you did 150 holes in 3 days. That's ludicrous. I'm trying to think in my head like what the split had to have been. Can you tell me what that was over the 3 days?
Yeah, and there's a par 3 course that has 13 holes, the Bandon Preserve. And on one of the days we wanted to say that we played 50 holes, and so there was like a little bit of mismatching, but essentially we played 36 every day. One day we played 36 and the par 3 course, and then one other hole, so we could say we got to 50 holes in a day. Right. And then on the last day we played 54 holes. And the way it works at Bandon is, first of all, there are no carts, so it's walking.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to get off-season rates. And, golf is the one thing in my life where I don't look at I'm price inelastic. Like golf, right, I love it so much. I don't really care how much I spend on it. That being said, when you're hosting a bachelor party, like you feel bad that you're putting on a cost to others. But the way it works at Bandon, off-season rates, it was, I think, $180 for the first round. Then replay rate at any of the courses goes to $100, and then the third course you play is free. So our last round on that day was free, and then I think if you play a fourth, someone needs to fact check me on this, but if you play a fourth round in the same day, which some people do during the Bandon solstice, they'll actually pay you $100.
Yeah, that is it. I think I made a video about that on my channel. So yeah, they will pay you. I think it's $100 or $200 on the fourth round. But I mean, I've never done anything like that. I played 36. Can you tell me a little about like the physical challenge of playing 54 holes, even when you played 36 each of the past 2 days, and it's all walking? That's like, you
Yeah.
must have walked like 15 miles on that
Yeah.
third day.
I think we logged more than 20 miles that day. Honestly, I was having so much fun. It's such a
Right.
breathtaking place. The golf is links. It's so cool that I just blocked out any physical pain I was feeling. It was like a non issues. Maybe a couple of blisters after the trip. But if I could have played 72 that day, if there was enough daylight, I would have.
Right. Did you guys get 54 in pretty comfortably?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
So what
And
time
the
did you
last
what
the last 18 we played that day was kind of our match was over, and they let us go out as a one of my buddies didn't play this last round, but they let us go out as a seven some, and we brought a bunch of beers out in the course, and it was like a
That's
really
awesome.
chill kind of round. It was a great kind of cap to the trip.
Yeah, I feel like that's the best part about Bandon. At least what I've heard from other people is that it really just is like they want to make sure that you really enjoy the golf. Like it's way less about like bringing your whole family there or whatever it might be. Like they'll let you go out as a seven some in the last tee time, and they just want to make sure like you have a great time, just enjoying the
Hmm.
golf courses, whatever that way that looks like.
Yep, totally. Put the customer
Uh,
first.
yeah, 100%. Um, So that's awesome. Love Bandon. I need to get over there. I need to. Everyone keeps coming on my podcast talking about Bandon. I haven't even been there, so I feel so. I need to change that. Um, but tell me a little bit about your golf experiences down in New Zealand. I think that's really unique and interesting. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm a proud dual U.S. New Zealand citizen. Lived there for a year when I was younger. My folks spend part of the year there, um, and so I try to go back as often as I can. And last February, a year ago, I went with my wife, and our trip we focused on the North Island and the Bay of Islands, so the subtropical area of New Zealand, and played this course called Cowrie Cliffs, which I think at the time was number 37 on Golf Digest's um, list, and similar vibes to Bandon, just like on the right along the ocean, breathtaking
Right.
views. Unfortunately, I played by myself, which was I love playing golf by myself, but with such a magical experience, you kind of want to share it with other people.
Yeah, just out there taking selfies and everything.
Yeah, exactly. No one to video my shots, and I love taking
Yeah.
swing footage. Uh, but breathtaking course. But I'll tell you, uh, there's a course called Para Umu, which Eric Andrew Landers, however you pronounce his name, did a feature on actually on his channel. This course probably ranked maybe 7 or 8 in New Zealand. It's hosted the New Zealand Open 12 times. I think it was either 2001 or 2002 that Tiger, they paid him $1 million appearance fee to fly over.
Wow.
And this course is about 10 minutes from where my folks have a place and spend part of the year. And it is true links golf. And it's so refreshing to play. And in a lot of ways, I enjoyed it more than Cowrie Cliffs and some of the other higher ranked on paper courses. I mean, it's like true ground game,
Right.
a lot of wind. I think people refer to it as the sister course to Royal Melbourne,
Hmm.
and like it's just nestled in this area of New Zealand uh, where the Lord of the Rings was filmed, and you've got these mountains in the backdrop, and it's like it's a gem. It's so underrated. And the way golf works in New Zealand is, there are a lot of private clubs, Para Umu included, but if you kind of write an email or a letter and be like, "Hey, I'm coming in from out of town. I love this
Right.
course," they'll let you play.
I mean, that's how it should be. I mean,
I know.
obviously, golf in like the States is so different than in other parts of the world. But like, I was just reading a book that I highly recommend if you haven't read it. It's like a course called Ireland. I'm blanking on who the author is, but essentially
Tom Coyne.
yeah, Tom Coyne. Like he
Yep.
dropped his life for 3 months and he
Yep.
walked like 60. He walked all the way around the circumference of Ireland, played like 60 rounds of golf. Um, and a lot of those courses were private clubs because the same thing. It's like they want visitors to come
Yep.
experience these golf courses because they're so proud of them. And it's not like here in the States where it's like, oh no, like you don't have enough money to play here or whatever the case may be. Um, so I hope that, American golf kind of gets to a similar point to where some other parts of the world are
Yep.
with that.
And it's the same with some of the renowned courses in Scotland, which is my next golf trip in July. My younger brother and I, who is equally as obsessed with golf as I am, are doing a pilgrimage trip to Scotland and
Wow.
playing some of the courses there. And it's like the thing on the horizon that I'm just pumped about right now.
What's do you guys already have like the course itinerary all planned out?
Yeah, for the most part, we're playing. We're playing a couple courses outside of Edinburgh. We're gonna try to play. We're gonna try to do the singles queue on the old course at St Andrews, and then we're going up to Inverness, the Highlands, and
Mm.
playing Royal Dornoch. We're also playing North Berwick, which is close to Edinburgh. Ely is another course we're playing. Uh, let's see, Brora. I'd say the three that I'm most excited for, though, are Royal Dornoch, North Berwick, and the Old Course.
Awesome, man. I think I might have told you this, but I'm going to a wedding in Scotland, July of 2025. So I think when I'm out there, I'm gonna have to like probably just take like 2 weeks off of work, honestly, and just like do the wedding and then
Yep.
just I think we're gonna do golf in Scotland and then my buddy has family in Ireland that we can just stay there for free, so we'll go down there. Might have to steal your Scotland itinerary though and
Yeah, please.
take advantage of that.
And if you need a +1 for the wedding, let me know.
Yeah, I will, man. Um, Very cool. So my last question on golf travel, like something I'm always curious about, just because I've been to Pinehurst, and that's essentially not Pinehurst number two, but like been to Pinehurst, played some of the awesome courses down there, and that's really my
Yep.
one big golf travel experience so far. So I'm always curious when I talk to people who have been, outside of the United States or been to Bandon or whatever it
Hmm.
might be. Like, can you talk to me a little bit about how a course like Tobacco Road or
Yep.
Mid Pines kind of lines up with some of these, maybe more famous courses by name, I guess is how I'll say it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm probably not qualified. I mean, I've done a couple of golf trips and I've played a couple of well-known courses, but probably not qualified to truly answer that question. What's interesting is like Torrey Pines, for example, uh, is a course that hosts a lot of tournaments because it has the infrastructure to do so. And it's big enough where it can. And there are a lot of amazing golf courses, Mid Pines being a perfect example, that, if you ask me, is better than Torrey Pines and is better than Harding Park and is better than a lot of like courses that people know of. It just doesn't have the infrastructure to host professional tournaments, and because of that,
Right.
they fly under the radar a little bit. I mean, Tobacco Road is such a wacky, polarizing, cool golf experience, and to me, that's one of the cooler courses I've played. I would say, to answer your question, both of those courses rank up in the top 20 courses I've ever played and are just like
Right.
immaculate experiences.
Im-
Spyglass is another one where just hosted actually the AT&T
yeah.
um, Pebble Beach. A lot of people think it's a cooler course to play than Pebble. A lot of people think that
Really?
the inland, I mean, it's all subjective, but like the inland holes at Pebble are kind of nothing to write home
Right.
about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I guess since you brought up Spyglass, let's divert the conversation slightly. Um, for those who have listened to these episodes before, I like to ask my guests a would you rather question every episode, and I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Ben. It's not going to be the one that I sent you originally,
Hit me.
but would you rather play Augusta National once in your
Mm-hmm.
life? You get to play it once. You get to especially have the day there. You can replay it, whatever you want. A day at Augusta National, But keep in mind, if you play, it means you can't go back for the Masters. You just go one time. You get to play, or you get to go to Pebble Beach once a year for the rest of your life.
Pebble Beach.
Wow,
I'm a pragmatic guy, and to be able to play Pebble once a year for the rest of my life. Yeah, Augusta's obviously the course I want to play most of any golf course out there, but yeah, I just think more value to play Pebble every single year for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's a good point. I am honest. I'm not gonna lie. That you're the second person I've asked that one, and the other person said the exact same thing. And my answer is Augusta. But I don't know. I feel like if you have the chance to play Augusta, you got to take it. Like
That's
that.
true.
Like we can get on. Like if you have enough money, you can go get on Pebble. Like you can
Yep.
figure out a way to get out there. You can pay to stay on the resort, whatever it is. But I think just like the magic of Augusta, like that's a whole different level.
Yeah, it's a tough question. No doubt about it. I've been playing these slinging draws recently. I can't fade the ball if I tried, and so Augusta would. I'd like to think it would suit my game for whatever that's worth.
All right. Very cool, man. Well, you're talking about swinging draws. I know it's the winter time, but you were telling me that you actually got out last weekend and you have a tee time for this coming weekend in the middle of February in Philadelphia.
I've got 2 tee times for this upcoming weekend, 2 courses in the Philly area, actually owned by what's his name, Ron Jaworski, the old Eagles quarterback. He is a Philly guy, and he bought, I think, 6 courses in the area.
Wow.
So I'm playing.
He was also a commentator at one point, right?
Yeah. And then last weekend, I drove up to Jersey and met my cousin who was on that Bandon Dunes trip, who's a good player. And we met and we played. And we always get really competitive with each other. And he refused to give me strokes, even though he's a 5 handicap. Right now I'm an 8, because I've beat him straight up the last 2 times. And he, I always like to put a couple bucks on the match. I kind of like creating that intense environment, and I was 4 down at the turn, and then had a lights out back 9 where the hole just looked, when you're playing in a couple, every so often the hole just looks huge and you just can't miss a putt. That's how it felt on the back 9, and I came back and ended up winning on 16, which was made my weekend for sure.
It's great when you can get an experience like that in the middle of winter. One time I did a video. It was like power ranking my favorite types of golf rounds. And I think number 1, I called it like the unexpected round, where like it's either weather's supposed to be too cold that time of year, or you're just kind of don't expect to get out at that time of year, and you get out there and just like you're out there, so you're just like happy to be out there. And then most of the time you end up actually playing pretty well because like you're maybe not practicing as much. Your game just needed a logical break, and you go out and just like surprise yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Well, for every one of those rounds that I had this past weekend, there's one where, you play, you fire something in the low 90s, you get frustrated. I was playing a couple weeks ago. I was down Hilton Head for work, and I didn't get to play Harbor Town, but I played a course called Atlantic Dunes with a couple of friends, colleagues, and it did not go well. So
what question? I'm just gonna ask you.
I got the dog in the background here crushing his toy.
Wow, clearly blanking what I was gonna say. Oh, right. So you mentioned a match you just recently had last weekend. Is there a specific game that you like playing on the golf course, specific format, like something that you typically go out and play with your buddies?
Yeah, I think 2-on-2, best ball is like a really clean, fun match. Like if somebody on your team is struggling, it's no pressure. It's not like it's high low. always seems to come down to the wire. You've like camaraderie with your teammate, but at the same time, it's a little bit of mano-a-mano match play. I think that's the most fun kind of competitive format.
List of questions before we. Oh yeah, so I know you mentioned that big trip you did out to Bandon. It was Ryder Cup style, but I feel like I remember you also telling me about an annual trip you do with some of your brother and your uncle or something like that.
Good
where
memory.
You do like a little like mini competition for the weekend.
Yep. So we call it the FSI, the Firn Sadler Invitational. My last name's Firn, so is my brother's, and then we play first my cousin and my uncle. Their last name is Sadler, and 2016 was the first year, and every year since then, I think with the exception of COVID, we pick a place, we go to it, we play a ton of golf, we put some money in the pot, and it's always my brother and I versus my uncle and my cousin, and we've switched up the formats over the years, and we haven't nailed down a date this year, but last year it was out in the Bay Area where my brother lives, and that's when we played Spyglass, a course called Pasatiempo, Presidio, which is right in the heart of San Francisco, Poppy Hills, and there was one other course.
We're gonna have to do a whole nother episode on each one of these.
I know, man.
Trips you've been on, man.
Yeah, they're special, and sometimes it's not like a renowned place. Like we did Boston one year where I hosted it. We did DC another year. We did the Robert Trent Jones Trail in Alabama.
Dude, you've done that?
Yeah.
Me and my friend Josh is like dying to go do it. Tell you gotta tell me a little bit about that, because he's been advocating it for a while now.
Yeah, honestly, that was the first one we did, and I didn't probably wasn't as into golf then, so I think we played 2 courses on the trail, and then one other course that wasn't well known. It wasn't very nice, and it wasn't on the trail.
Oh, okay.
I remember feasting on some Birmingham, Alabama barbecue.
Yeah, the food has got to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
You definitely got to go at the right time of year, though, because last year we were down in Pinehurst. I think it was the first week of September. We caught a heat wave. The coolest day was like 96 degrees. It was brutal.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we did in 2022, we did Pinehurst and played Tobacco Road, Mid Pines, Pine Needles, and then Talamore and another kind of no name course. But yeah, Mid Pines and Tobacco Road were special.
Yeah, Tobacco Road, like I would love to see the pros go out and play at Tobacco Road. Like I don't know if they can back the tees up far enough, but like I would just love, like I want the pros to go play Tobacco Road, and I want them to get mic'd up. Like it doesn't have to count for world golf rankings or FedEx Cup points. I just want a Tobacco Road Invitational every year where I can just listen to these guys like try to plot their way around this golf course that, like, if you hit good shots, you're fine. But on the surface, the golf course just makes no sense. I think like the conversations on the tee boxes and in the fairways would just be like unbelievable content.
Some of those graveyard bunkers are just nuts. And I had a pretty tidy round going until, was it the 16th hole? I think I carded a 9. It was that hole. I don't know if you remember it, but there's a false front and you can't see the green. It's a blind approach shot.
It's like the dog leg left, right?
Exactly. And I kept on hitting it onto the green, and it didn't make it over the false front and just kept on rolling back to my feet.
Well, I feel like those are honestly when you're playing a course like that where you're not necessarily expecting to play well, like it's a really difficult golf course, kind of quirky, you hear all these things about it. I feel like when you have a blow up hole on a hole where you're supposed to blow up, I feel like it's almost like that's what I wanted, you know? Like you may not feel it in the moment, but you look back and it's like, and I got the Tobacco Road experience, you know, because I was in a very similar position. I was playing lights out. Like I think I shot 38 or 39 on the front, like playing unbelievable golf. And then the 12th hole or the 13th, it's the par 5 with like the true crater bunker that's like 40 feet below the green. I hit a great drive. I was driving the ball great all day. And then like I had like 180 to the pin, and I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like I'm at Tobacco Road, I might as well try it. Even gave myself plenty of room left. Fucking hit it thin, sliced into the crater. And I got down there and I was like, you know what? I'm happy I'm down here. And I ended up getting it out. I saved like double, only got like a 7 on the hole. But now looking back on it, it's like I have these memories of like a signature Tobacco Road moment where
Exactly.
I was just like, this is what I wanted. You know, this is why you go to a place like that.
Exactly. Totally. Yep.
But yeah, would love to see just like pros go down and play Tobacco Road. Really I need to play another who's the guy that designed that place?
Mike Strantz.
Yeah, I need to play another
Yeah.
Strands design at some point.
Yeah.
Um, cool, man. Another underrated place. I know you were saying you did one in Boston. If you're ever looking for another Northeast one, you guys should go to Hartford. Surprisingly, like Hartford has some amazing golf courses. Like there's like 6 golf courses in the surrounding area of Hartford, and we played one. It was called Keeney Park. Every hole was like a template hole. It was by the same guy that did Oakmont, and it had a very similar vibe to like George Wright and Franklin Park.
One of my favorite courses in the world, George Wright.
Yeah, George Wright's unbelievable. It was almost like George Wright, but just like a little quirkier. Like some of the holes were just like really interesting because they were all template holes. They had like a road hole, Verdun, all that stuff. And some of the best greens I've played to date, like up there with like Pinehurst #1, Mid Pines, like so much, like just really big greens rolling perfectly. And for like a public course that we paid like $40 for, highly recommend Keeney Park to any of my
super cool
Connecticut folk out there.
Yeah. I spent some time in Hartford, but didn't play any golf there. Then
yeah,
the
you
next
wouldn't
trip,
really expect it.
yeah, the next domestic trip I've got my eye on is, you only get one trip around the sun, Noah. I'm trying to get all the golf in that I can.
Yeah, I love it.
Is the Wisconsin, circuit of Erin Hills and,
yeah. Isn't the Lido out there now? Like the guy who did Bandon took like that old course, the Lido, and like remade it out in Wisconsin. Isn't that out there as well?
Yeah, I think Mike Kaiser. Is that Mike Kaiser's son who is kind of the leader of that project? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that sounds right.
I probably, for hosting a golf podcast, I probably should be more in tune with my course designers, but we'll get there. One of the last few things I want to talk about, Ben, is you're a bit of you're a Titleist celebrity.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
let's talk about that a little bit. You made an appearance in a Titleist commercial. You once told me.
Yeah, I was at a friend's birthday party in Providence, Rhode Island, a couple of years back, and the marketing director for FootJoy was there, and we just like nerded out about golf the whole time. And at the end, he's like, "Hey Ben, like, you're clearly a golfer. You're a handsome fella. Like, we're always looking for models. Like, you should come out and be in one of our shoots." And I'm like, "Oh, sure. Put me on the list." Didn't think twice about it. And then maybe 6 months after that, I get an Instagram message from this guy being like, "Hey, our like lead model dropped out. Like, can you make this Friday? It's at Rhode Island Country Club. This like sick course. We're the commercial is going to be, or the shoot's going to be our new thermo series, kind of like winter layered gear." And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I literally thought there were going to be like pictures of me wearing FootJoy golf shoes. Turns out it's, there's like a camera crew of 16 people and a drone and there's light rain and someone's job is literally holding an umbrella over me as I like play a couple of holes. Like I felt like a total celebrity. And dude, it was a 30-minute commercial that appeared everywhere. And like, it even appeared on some billboards in Europe. It was like, whoa, like what? And I realized after the fact that I totally got taken advantage of because I basically got like $1,000 worth of FootJoy credit to use in the store, but I didn't get paid at all.
Yeah,
but
you should get
it's a funny
royalty on that.
I know. It's a funny story and a cool golf experience for sure.
Yeah, I feel like $1,000 of FootJoy credit, that'll get you set, man. Like
Yeah.
FootJoy, you don't need to if you have a good amount of FootJoy stuff, you probably don't need to add much to the golf apparel.
Yeah. It's funny. I sometimes I joke around and call like Max Homa my colleague because, he's a FootJoy sponsor, and like the no laying up guys
Right.
are now working with Titleist and FootJoy.
Yeah, you had it first before them.
Exactly. Yeah, they're just kind of following in my footsteps, pun intended.
Exactly. Funny note on FootJoy. My first guest on the show, Matt, who you should meet someday, he is actually FootJoy royalty. I didn't know this until he came on the show, but his dad's, it's like somewhere, like his dad's brother's, it's like his dad's uncle or something like that was the founder of FootJoy.
Wow.
Pretty cool. So
Super
now
cool.
I always wondered why Matt always wore FootJoy shoes, and I asked him, he's like, I try to pay some homage to the brand.
Yeah, there you go. Try to support the family business.
Exactly. All right, man. Well, we can wrap up. I know we've went a little over my allocated 30 minutes, but I really appreciate you coming on, man. Before we wrap up, I guess leave us with, why do you keep coming back to this ball and stick game we love so much?
Oh man, the simplicity and complexity of it at the same time. I think I heard someone say it's the only game that's man versus man, man versus self, and man versus nature, all wrapped into one humbling, simple game. And I've got the bug. Means a lot to me. It's something to work on and be purposeful with. At the same time, you can't take it too seriously, or else your round's not going to go well. And the individuality of each course and the people you meet along the way, it's got a little bit of everything. So that's why I keep on coming back. That's why I'm excited about my 2 tee times this weekend, and excited to play again with you, Noah, and appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, we got it. We got to get back out there. Over under. What are you shooting this weekend? What's the line?
I would say the line on Saturday's course, a little easier, is probably 83, and Sunday's course is probably 84.
Oh, you're playing
So call
both
it.
days?
Oh, I'm playing both days. Oh yeah.
I
Next
thought you had
question.
like 2 tee times you were picking between for like Saturday. I didn't realize you were going back to
Mm-mm.
back.
Back to back, my friend.
Oh man, I got to book a tee time. Well, dude, I was actually going to play on Saturday, and then the other day I realized I can't even play golf because I got my buddy who works at Callaway hooked me up with some new irons, and it's like half a set. So I have half a set of my old clubs and like half a set of the new clubs. Anyways, I'm lucky to have them, but it makes
We'll
me
come down to Philly for a weekend, and we'll play.
look. Ben, I'm only coming down to Philly if you get us on that private Tom Doak course. That's
Done.
my condition.
Consider it done.
All right, let me know, man. Awesome. Well, Ben, we're going to have to get you back on so we can unpack more of these golf experiences you've had. I feel like we only scratched the surface. Maybe we'll spin up some ideas for some fun little feature episodes we can get you on. But it was a pleasure talking shop with you, man. And thank you, everybody, for listening to us for 48 minutes.
We'll love that. Thanks again, man.